The crown prince sent men to the village to find the benefactor who had once saved him. I looked at my ailing mother in bed, gritted my teeth, and turned out the jade pendant from the bottom of the box. The officials were overjoyed when they saw the jade pendant and took me to the crown prince. At this moment, words flashed in midair. Ah, why is the female supporting character taking credit for what the female lead did? It wasn't her who saved him. It's okay. The male lead already knows. When the female lead comes back, I'll throw the female supporting character into the dungeon. In the meantime, let's just watch the female supporting character hop around. It's kind of interesting. Huh. I didn't intend to deceive the crown prince this time. The man before me was dressed in luxurious clothes, his noble air hard to conceal, and he was staring at me with a deep gaze. I knelt down skillfully, presented the jade pendant with both hands, and said in a clear voice, "Your Highness, this is a jade pendant given to me by a Miss Lu. She once said that if anyone comes looking for this item, they should have me hand it over." Silence fell on the other side, and my hand holding the jade pendant grew a little tired. The text also increased. What's going on? Isn't the female supporting character supposed to lie to the male lead and say she was the one who saved him? Yeah. The male lead was blind for a while and recuperating in Lu village, so he couldn't recognize his savior. After the female supporting character impersonated her, she went back to the palace with the male lead, even taking her sick mother with her. The mother and daughter were greedy for wealth and refused to leave, and even wanted to secretly kill the female lead to silence her. Wait. Could it be that the female supporting character can see the comments we're posting? To the person who said that, I'm getting chills down my spine. It's a little scary. Everyone. I didn't look at the ever-increasing flood of words anymore. Instead, I focused my gaze on Xiao Chongyan in front of me. He pursed his lips, his expression growing colder, and after a long while, he finally spoke. "Lu Yingyang, did you know my identity all along?" I panicked at first, then calmed down and replied, "I heard someone mention Your Highness the Crown Prince just now, and when I entered, someone also called you Your Highness. So I addressed you as such. I didn't expect Xiao Chongyan to seize on this mistake. Yes, perhaps in his eyes, I, a village girl, had never seen him before, but he doesn't know. And even the comments don't know. I have been reborn into this life. This life. I will not go back with Xiao Chongyan. Those comments were right. I am the daughter of a hunter. When I was 10 years old, my father went into the mountains and disappeared. The villagers searched for a long time but couldn't find him. Only my mother and I were left to depend on each other. As time went on, some people started to get ideas about my mother, wanting her to remarry with me. My mother, unable to bear the harassment, left our hometown with me and came to Lu village. The women here make a living by spinning and weaving. My mother taught me the craft, and we were able to make ends meet, and life was peaceful and smooth, until one day, a girl knocked on our door. She said she wanted to come in for a drink of water, but she fainted before she could take 2 steps. My mother helped her into the house and saw that the clothes on her abdomen were stained red with blood. Now I know. She is the female lead the comments were talking about. Lu Chunying. She was an unrestrained and forthright woman of the streets. I didn't know why she was injured, and she didn't tell us, saying she was afraid of causing trouble for us. Soon, people outside were searching house to house, asking if we had seen a strange woman. I recognized them as the henchmen of a local bully, so I shook my head and sent them away. As I spoke, Lu Chunying hid behind the door. Later, when Lu Chunying left, she left behind a jade pendant, saying that a nobleman had given it to her and it should be worth a lot of money. So in my previous life, when I learned that someone was looking for the jade pendant, I took it to them. That was the first time I saw such a handsome man. He asked if my surname was Lu, and I nodded. He then asked, "Would you be willing to return to the Eastern Palace with me?" After thinking it over, I asked him, "Can you have my mother cured?" Xiao Chongyan agreed. "I can." He brought imperial physicians with him, who diagnosed my mother and prescribed medicine. After my mother recovered, we followed Xiao Chongyan back to the capital. Xiao Chongyan settled her in a small courtyard in the capital and left a dozen maids and servants. while I moved into the Eastern Palace. There were many rules here, and I was not used to them at all. So I told Xiao Chongyan that I was not the one who saved him. He said he knew, and told me to stay and not worry. And I stayed for 3 years. During that time, Xiao Chongyan was very good to me. In the beginning, some palace servants openly called me a crude village girl, which reached Xiao Chongyan's ears. After he reprimanded them and banished them from the palace, there were no more dissenting voices. Knowing that I was not used to living there, he did not force me to learn the rules and would take me out of the palace, allowing me to spend more time with my mother. The maid said they had never seen the crown prince care so much about anyone. Xiao Chongyan also had no other wives or concubines, and I indulged in his love day after day, until he met Lu Chunying again. Looking back now, everything is clear. Lu Chunying is the female lead mentioned in the comments, and she and Xiao Chongyan were a match made in heaven. So in the previous life, he grew to love Miss Lu more and more. When he learned that Lu Chunying was being hunted, he caught the assassin. Then, without any explanation, he locked me in prison, believing that I had hired the assassin. The prison was dark and sunless. The palace maid sneered as she delivered the food. I told you long ago that His Highness was only interested in you for a while. Did you really think you were the master? But at that time, I still had illusions, thinking that Xiao Chongyan had some hidden reason. Perhaps he had other plans for me. Relying on the narrow window, I distinguished between day and night, making marks on the wall. 5 days, 10 days, 20 days. Finally, I waited for the jailer to come in, but he told me that my mother was dead. I couldn't believe it and questioned him about how she died, when she died, and whether he was lying to me. He impatiently brushed me aside. She's dead. So what? Go ask His Highness the Crown Prince if you have the ability. I wanted to ask Xiao Chongyan why he locked me up. If he was angry that I had lied to him, he clearly knew it long ago. And in that moment of affection, when he whispered forcing me to say that I would be with him for the rest of my life, had he forgotten living this life again? I have all the answers. Because I'm not the female lead the strange comments are talking about. Even if I hadn't seen the comments, I would have known better and stayed far away from Xiao Chongyan. But I didn't expect that I would be reborn back to the day Xiao Chongyan came to find the jade pendant. My mother's illness is really serious, and ordinary doctors only make it worse. I thought, if I used the jade pendant to trade with Xiao Chongyan for him to treat my mother, he should agree. But Xiao Chongyan stared at me for a long time before ordering someone to retrieve the jade pendant. He glanced at it and said, "This isn't mine. Did you really hide the real one? Where is it?" Me. How is that possible? I hurriedly explained. This was given to me by Miss Lu. I haven't touched it since she gave it to me. It's at the bottom of the box. No need to argue. Xiao Chongyan interrupted me. Guards, take her away. I wanted to curse him, but I didn't dare. I didn't know how things had turned out so differently from what I expected. The comments were also gloating. Could it be that the real jade pendant was taken by the female supporting character and sold for money? So she's using a fake to impersonate it. She's so snobbish and short-sighted. She must have sold the real one. I get it. This Xingyang thinks that if she tells the truth, the male lead will appreciate her, so she can really see us talking. Right. Nod if you can see us. In an instant, I was locked in a room. Hello. Can you see what I'm saying? Blink if you can see me. Trust me. It'll help you. I'm on the female supporting character's side. I guarantee it'll help you defeat the female lead, marry the male lead, and reach the peak of your life. The comments were tirelessly teasing me. I didn't want to pay attention to them and could only sit here and sulk. Someone brought food in the evening. I grabbed her and asked, "Miss, how long is His Highness going to keep me locked up?" The maid shook her head, looking mysterious. "We servants don't know His Highness' thoughts. Don't ask." I had no choice but to beg her. "Then please, miss, inform him for me. Just say that I want to see His Highness. There's a sick person in my family who needs to take medicine morning and night. I can't stay away. After all, in my previous life, I didn't even see my mother's last moments. I was afraid she wouldn't make it through this time. I knew I shouldn't have come to see Xiao Chongyan with a glimmer of hope. The maid looked at me deeply, without answering. After a long time, Xiao Chongyan still didn't appear. I decided to escape through the window. When I opened the window, there were two expressionless guards standing outside. An idea came to me, and I directly cried for help. The food is poisoned. With that, I fainted to the ground. The guards closed the window. The ground was a little cold. I opened my eyes a crack, and I could see a line or two of comments. Why is this kind of cute? No way. The preview shows the female supporting character hiring a hitman to kill the female lead. How can you praise such a vicious character? But she didn't try to steal the female lead's identity. And isn't it normal to worry about her mother? If it were me, I would have been crying in a hurry. At least the female supporting character is trying to find a way out. But what is the male lead keeping her locked up for? I want to know too. I really want to go back and find my mother. But I can't be presumptuous in front of Xiao Chongyan, lest he get angry and sentence me to death. Who knows if I can be reborn again after this death? No one paid attention to me, so I silently got up and walked to the door. I was just about to cry out when the door suddenly opened. Xiao Chongyan stood outside the door, scanned me up and down, and asked, "Where is the poison? Aren't you standing here perfectly fine?" I didn't dare to lie to him anymore, so I suppressed my anger and begged him to let me go back to see my mother. She hasn't had dinner or taken her medicine yet. As I spoke, I couldn't help but shed tears when I thought of her lying there waiting for me. She can't get out of bed, and am so useless. Xiao Chongyan can decide our life and death with a single sentence. Damn, I'm really empathizing. When my mom was sick, I was always taking care of her by her bedside. I couldn't leave at all. Mommy's girl can't watch this scene. Although the female supporting role is quite good to her mother. I was waiting for Xiao Chongyan's reply, but I didn't expect him to suddenly ask, "To cure your mother?" "Yes. Are you willing to go back with me?" "Go back where?" I blinked, wiped away my tears, and explained again. "Your Highness, I'm really not the Miss Lu who saved you. She gave me the jade pendant, and I've never touched it. If your Highness saves my mother, I will naturally be grateful and pray for your Highness day and night." Of course, that sentence was a lie. I still remember the hatred from my previous life. So manipulative. Will you guys ever be satisfied? According to you, everything the female supporting role does is wrong. So what do you want her to do? She's not impersonating the female lead anymore. Why is the male lead still holding on to her? The barrage started arguing. Xiao Chongyan's face gradually darkened. He asked, "So you're determined? Even if I give you endless wealth and glory, you're not willing to come with me? If this life still repeats the same mistakes, then what is the meaning of the rebirth that heaven has bestowed upon me?" I simply knelt on the ground, my tone pious and humble. "Wealth and glory are not what this commoner seeks. I appreciate your Highness' kindness." I seemed to hear a gasp from above. The familiar chill made my heart tremble. After a long while, Xiao Chongyan flicked his sleeves and left, leaving a sentence as he left. "Good. Remember your words today. In the future, don't ask me to take you away." Good, good, good. Finally, I don't have to watch the female supporting character court death anymore. But there's no fun to watch either. I breathed a slight sigh of relief. Let them go find fun elsewhere. I was sent home by Xiao Chongyan's maid. In the last days of my previous life, if anyone could give me a trace of comfort, it was this Miss Joshua. Like Xiao Chongyan, she didn't show her emotions on her face. When the other maids in the East Palace deliberately sent me spoiled rice, she came to see me specifically and said that she would discipline the servants who were taking the opportunity to bully me. I asked her why Xiao Chongyan had locked me up. She shook her head. She only said, "Can the young lady patiently wait?" It was because of what she said that I always thought Xiao Chongyan had other reasons. Looking back now, it's really naive and ridiculous. The carriage stopped in front of my house. Before it even came to a complete halt, I jumped out and rushed inside, fearing that something might have happened to my mother during this time. But as soon as I entered the courtyard, I saw two unfamiliar young maids brewing medicine. one squatting beside the stove, the other holding a tray with a medicine bowl. Miss Lu. His Highness ordered physician Shen to see your mother. He prescribed medicine, saying that she should take it for 3 consecutive days, and he will come again when the time is right. Behind me. Qiu Shu's voice sounded calmly. I turned around and scrutinized her expression. She seemed perfectly normal. The comments section shared my curiosity. Why is the male lead acting so strangely, rushing to treat the female supporting character's mother? I don't want to watch anymore. If you can't find the female lead, just look somewhere else. The male lead is so stupid. I wonder if the male lead is doing this on purpose. Is he really blind and likes the female supporting character? Whether Xiao Chongyan is blind or not, I don't know. But his heart is truly black. The medicine was ready, and I took the bowl of medicine proactively. I'll do it. You can go back. Thank you. When I reached my mother's bedside, I first tasted the medicine myself. The comments section saw my caution and began to scold me for not appreciating their kindness. Let them be. Just like in my previous life, my mother's condition gradually improved after drinking the physician's medicine. I planned that once she recovered, I would take her away from here. These past few days, the maids sent by Xiao Chongyan have been guarding here, refusing to leave no matter what I said. If I spoke harshly, they would kneel on the ground and beg, saying that His Highness the Crown Prince had ordered that if they went back, they would be punished with a beating. Xiao Chongyan seems to be sick, not as an attack, but as my speculation. I don't have the ability to do anything to him, or kill him for revenge. I think heaven arranged for me to live this life again, not to see me perish with him. So, I can only stay as far away as possible. It's really not easy to slip away under Xiao Chongyan's nose. Until one day, Mrs. Wei, the neighbor, came to visit my mother and talked about her son who was a county lieutenant. My third son is not willing to get married. How can I face his dead father when I'm under the 9 springs? The silent comments section finally had a few more comments. Elements detected. Is the female supporting character going to have a love line? Just a passerby. Not important. She had been widowed for many years, raising 3 sons into adulthood, and her only wish was to see them marry and have children. Over the years, she had tried to match me with her eldest son. After the eldest son married, she continued to match me with the second son. Now it was finally the youngest son's turn. My mother looked at me and smiled helplessly. Yang has already said that her marriage is up to her, and I can't control it. Mrs. Wei wasn't surprised. I know Ng's temperament. She's a filial child, and she's very calm. My only hope in this life is that she can marry into the Wei family. I'll die in peace. My mother, who was sick in bed, still had to coax her. At this moment, I glanced at the maids outside the window who were brewing medicine, and whispered to Mrs. Wei, "Auntie, if third brother is willing to leave his hometown and take my mother and me to a foreign land, I will marry him." The comments section began to speculate about my true intentions again. The female supporting character is going to stir up trouble again. If she runs away now, will the male lead chase after her? Definitely. Xiao Chongyan is afraid she'll find out about the female lead's whereabouts and is deliberately hiding it from her. So there's no way he'll let her run. I didn't want to involve anyone else. I just wanted to run away with my mother on my own. Even if we were slow. Who knew Aunt Wei would be overjoyed? She nodded. I'm willing. You wait here. I'll go tell third brother the good news. And you can leave tonight. Me. Damn it. This third brother is such a cheapskate. Isn't this a little too eager? Things turned out to be much smoother than expected. That night, a series of cooing sounds came from outside the window. Like birds. I cautiously pushed open the window and jumped out. Sure enough, I saw Wei Xian in the moonlight. He had been capturing criminals for years and had developed a set of secret codes. To outsiders, it sounded like simple bird calls. But those in the know could decipher the sentences based on the length and cadence. At that moment, he was dressed in plain clothes, his eyes shining, and he whispered, "Yang, have you thought it through? In my previous life, I had also suspected that Wei Xian liked me. He would silently help me stack firewood and do heavy work around my house. Sometimes when he received rewards from the government, he would send a portion to my home, and my family was always included. But when I probed him, he would only say seriously, "Miss Lu, there's no need to overthink it. My mother told me to help you out a little more." With him around, local ruffians wouldn't dare approach my mother and me. But now, I'm not sure what Xiao Chongyan's intentions are towards me. At this time, if Wei Xian helps me escape, will he be in danger? I simply confessed my current situation to Wei Xian. I told him about Xiao Chongyan's identity, why there were 2 extra maids in the house, and my plans for the future. So, third brother Wei, you should still consider it carefully. Wei Xian feigned understanding. No wonder I saw guards outside. It turns out it's because of you. It's all right, he added. I resigned from my position as county lieutenant today and can leave at any time. I didn't expect him to act so quickly. I thought for a moment. But what about the maids in the house? Easy. Wei Xian jumped through the window with me, and before they could cry out in alarm, he tapped their sleep acupoints. My mother had also expected something to happen tonight and hadn't slept. Wei Xian carried her on his back and walked towards the back door of the house. Thanks to Xiao Chongyan, my mother and I were fleeing the home we had lived in for many years like thieves. Fortunately, Wei Xian was skilled in martial arts and carried my mother and me out separately, without being discovered by the guards, even after we were safely on the carriage and had escaped Lu family village. My heart was still uneasy, but I suddenly thought of a way to get rid of Xiao Chongyan once and for all. Looking at the comments that occasionally floated across my vision, I deliberately sighed. Miss Lu, the jade pendant you gave me has been found, but I don't know where you are now. Is the female supporting character really willing to give up that good life? This isn't like her at all. Is she acting again? Is she planning to completely kill the female lead to silence her and then take her place? Seriously, is Xiao Chongyan such a great person? Does every woman have to like him? My precious is out there being a hero. Don't even think about taking advantage of her. At this time, Ying should be learning from them on Sanping Mountain. Right. I'm glad I saw the key words. Sanping Mountain is home to a group of chivalrous people who often rob the rich to help the poor, and are known by the people as outlaw heroes. In the previous life, Xiao Chongyan was ordered to suppress bandits, and it was then that he brought Lu Chunying back to the Eastern Palace. If I can get them to meet earlier, wouldn't I be off the hook? So I lifted the car curtain and said to Wei Xian outside, "Third brother Wei, I heard you mention the heroes of Sanping Mountain before. Why don't we go and join them?" Wei Xian paused. It's possible, if we can get rid of the pursuers behind us. Only then did I look back. I faintly saw a group of people chasing after us relentlessly. I didn't know if the one in the lead was Xiao Chongyan. They came so fast. I turned my head and pleaded with Wei Xian. "Third brother, if we are caught, please take my mother to Sanping Mountain while I get off to delay them." Wei Xian didn't answer, raised his whip and lashed it down. As the carriage moved, my mother said with a sob, "Ying, what have you done? Don't hide it from me. I've lived long enough. I'm willing to take the blame for you." My nose tingled, and I hated Xiao Chongyan even more, not understanding why he wouldn't let me go. Both my mother and I lost our lives at his hands. Just because he is the crown prince, he can do whatever he wants. The world is so big. Where can I find a way to live? The carriage can't outrun Xiao Chongyan's steed. I asked Wei Xian to take my mother away first, and jumped out of the carriage myself, rolling into the haystack, falling into a daze. A hand lifted me onto the horse, and Xiao Chongyan's cold voice came from above my head. He said, "I came at the right time, and stumbled upon a good show of a man and woman eloping. Lu Ying, you really make me look at you in a new light." I was dizzy and only heard him babbling on, not understanding what he was saying. After I regained my senses, I said, "Your Highness, what crime has this commoner committed? Harboring a wanted criminal." Xiao Chongyan said, "Wei Xian killed someone and fled, and you are actually mixed up with him. Truly reckless. How could this be? Third brother Wei is honest and kind, helping the villagers. I don't believe he would do such a thing." As soon as I thought about it, I knew that Xiao Chongyan had forcibly imposed the crime. As a result, the loathing in my heart for him increased a bit, but I could only endure my anger and beg him. Your Highness, for the sake of this commoner offering the jade, can you please not kill him first? Behind me, Xiao Chongyan's voice was no different from that of a demon. He whispered in my ear and questioned, in what capacity are you pleading for him? I shuddered. I wanted to say that I was his unmarried wife, but I was afraid that Xiao Chongyan would take the opportunity to make things difficult, so I remained silent. He sneered, spurred his horse and took me back to his residence. With no intention of letting me go home. I didn't understand. He still used the excuse that the jade pendant I gave him was fake, saying that he would take me back to the capital for a detailed interrogation. What a setup. I was so angry my hands trembled. If I didn't have things to care about, I would have cursed him to his face until he was black and blue. Miss Joshua came to advise me again. If Miss Lu is unwilling to return to the capital with His Highness, don't openly defy him. His Highness is not an unreasonable person. He's unreasonable as hell. Otherwise, in my previous life, why wouldn't he listen to my explanation and insist that I ordered assassins to hunt down Lu Chunying? I didn't even get to see him before I was thrown into prison. Calming myself, I probed. Is His Highness looking for a Miss Lu? But I'm not the person he's looking for. Doesn't he believe that? I couldn't get anything out of Joshua either. She shook her head. This servant doesn't know what's on His Highness' mind. I didn't know before either. Why the man I shared a bed with was so cruel. Now I understand. Xiao Chongyan has his own destined person. That night, I dreamed of our past life again. He came in wearing his robes, looking exhausted. I asked him what was troubling him, but he was silent. Instead, he said, "Do you want to see your mother?" I nodded eagerly. His eyes were deep and troubled. I knew what he was worried about. He was afraid I would hate the rules of the Eastern Palace, and he was also afraid that I, like others, would only be in awe of him and no longer be honest with him. Ignorance is bliss. I don't know where I got the idea, or maybe I was just spoiled by Xiao Chongyan, but I confidently declared, "Don't worry. I'll be back as soon as I see her. I won't run away." Our statuses were so different. I knew I couldn't be the crown princess, or even a proper concubine, but I was willing to stay in the palace with him. Xiao Chongyan's position as was unstable. Several of his younger brothers were eyeing it covetously, in order to successfully inherit the throne. He also needed the support of the future crown princess family. When I said that I didn't seek any title, Xiao Chongyan looked at me with a complex expression. After a long while, he asked, "Will you regret it?" My chest felt like it was weighed down by a heavy stone. I didn't know if it was a dream, but I shouted to him outside the dream. Regret. I regret it to death. I shouldn't have gone to the capital. I shouldn't have met him. Even after being reborn, I'm still being dragged back by him. I hate it so much. I really want to kill him in my dream to prevent future troubles. I woke up from crying, the sweat soaking the bedding beneath me. I caught sight of a dark figure by the bed, and I was a little dazed. Xiao Chongyan didn't know how long had been standing in the shadows, like a ghost, his eyes glowing eerily, but he didn't say anything. He turned and left, and I couldn't help but doubt my own eyes. Could it really be a ghost? Xiao Chongyan didn't stay any longer. When he went back, I was thrown onto his carriage like a package. He didn't even look up. He was reading a book. I still wanted to save myself, so I sat in the corner and said softly, "Your Highness, are you looking for the owner of the jade pendant?" My intention was to take the opportunity to say that I knew the whereabouts of Lu Chunying, so that the male and female leads could meet quickly, and I could retire successfully. Xiao Chongyan didn't answer me. I continued, "Oh dear. Look at my memory. Miss Lu seemed to mention a place before she left. Maybe you can find her there." Well, I'll go find it myself. Only then did Xiao Chongyan spare me a word. I don't get it. What is this female supporting character playing at? Just tell him directly. Can the male and female leads meet soon? Please. It's been so long since I've seen this kind of loyal dog Prince X Jianghu heroine old school CP. It's so good. I love it. I wanted to tell Xiao Chongyan, but he didn't seem curious at all. Knowing him as I do, He just didn't want to know. But I couldn't worry about that anymore. I was just about to speak when the carriage suddenly jolted violently. Someone outside shouted, "Assassins! Protect the prince!" Then there was chaos. I wanted to take the opportunity to escape. Just as I was about to lift the curtain, an arrow flew over, grazing my palm. Looking back, Xiao Chongyan didn't dodge in time, and only the tail of an arrow remained in his shoulder. Seriously, I thought he wouldn't get hurt. Sitting there as still as a mountain. What was he pretending before? His face gradually turned pale, but his lips turned purple, clearly a sign of poisoning. Outside, weapons clashed and the carriage shook. I dared not leave the carriage again and could only stare at Xiao Chongyan. He asked me, his eyes fierce and terrifying, "Were you trying to escape just now?" As he spoke, black blood trickled from the corner of his mouth. I thought to myself, "Big brother, you look like you're about to die. If you want to leave, then go." Xiao Chongyan closed his eyes, his voice gradually lowering. "If you can escape, that's your ability. I won't stop you." The situation outside was unclear, and nowhere was safe. I was afraid I would die as soon as I left the carriage, so I didn't say anything more. But Xiao Chongyan suddenly let out a cold laugh. When he opened his eyes again, there was a hint of tenderness. I didn't know if I was mistaken. His eyes were much gentler as he called my name. Eyeing, just like in the previous life. Actually, I've always had a faint suspicion in my heart. Could it be that Xiao Chongyan was also reborn? Is that why he would do some unreasonable things and keep holding on to me? But why is he hiding it from me? My thoughts were chaotic until the sounds outside gradually subsided. Qiushui got on the carriage to check, and her eyes were shocked when she saw Xiao Chongyan's arrow-struck appearance. But she didn't make a sound. First, she sealed Xiao Chongyan's acupoints, and then she looked at me with pleading eyes. "Miss Lu, it's dangerous outside. Please stay here in peace." Of course I knew that. Otherwise I would have taken the opportunity to escape. But soon, Xiao Chongyan fainted amidst the shocked comments. "The sky is falling. The male lead won't just die like this. Right. It's all because the female supporting character was dragging her feet." So the male lead was assassinated on his way back to the capital. He clearly returned safely before. What to do? Summon Imperial Physician Shen to save him. "Prince, I'll never scold you again. Please don't die." In my opinion, their worries are completely unnecessary. Isn't Xiao Chongyan the male lead they're talking about? He wouldn't die so easily. When the group entered the city and settled down, everyone was busy. The accompanying Imperial Physician Shen said that the arrowhead was poisonous. Although sealing the acupoints had hindered the spread of the poison, he had no life-saving medicine. "Where is the soul-returning pill that your highness brought back?" Even the usually calm Qiushui looked flustered, grabbing Shintai's sleeve and refusing to let go. Shintai glanced at me, withdrew his gaze, and said hesitantly, It's gone. Who ordered you to do this?" Qiushui drew the dagger she carried with her, pinning Shintai against the door. "Shin Quan Yu, did you collude with others to harm His Highness? How dare you?" Watching them argue, I still felt that Xiao Chongyan wouldn't die, so I remained expressionless. Previously, there were still people in the comments supporting me. But now it has become one-sided. What is the female supporting character doing? Doesn't she feel any guilt at all? So disgusting. If it weren't for the female supporting character's fault, how could the crown prince have gotten into trouble? Is the female supporting character dead? How can she have no reaction at all? The male lead is so good to her, and she doesn't appreciate it. Wait a minute. Could that soul-returning pill have been given to the female supporting character's mother? Shintai refused to admit it to the death. And the door was knocked twice from the inside. The maid's voice came out. "Sister Qiushui, His Highness wants you to release Shintai." Qiushui reluctantly let go, then glanced at me, her expression indescribable. At this time, the comments were all discussing where the soul-returning pill went, and whether it was really given to my mother by Xiao Chongyan. So I privately found Shintai. Seeking an answer, Shintai seemed very afraid to see me. His medical skills are superb, and he is deeply trusted by Xiao Chongyan. Now he locks himself in the room to test poisons. With bottles and jars all over the table. I really can't understand it. But I know that the soul-returning pill is a royal life-saving medicine. And there is only one in the East Palace. Used to save lives. How could Xiao Chongyan give it away so easily? Under my repeated entreaties. Shen Tai said with a mournful face. Little ancestor. Please spare this old man. I promised His Highness that I can't reveal where the soul-returning pill went. But I think the girl should know in her heart. His words were tantamount to directly telling me the answer. No wonder my mother's body recovered faster than in my previous life. And her spirit was also much better. Did Xiao Chongyan give her the soul-returning pill to atone for his sins? His subordinates were busy searching for medicinal materials for him. I went in to find him. And no one stopped me. Only Qiushui was guarding the bed. Xiao Chongyan on the bed had already dealt with the arrow wound. And his upper body was exposed except for the bandaged area. Originally a noble of noble birth. He had scars. Some deep and some shallow. On his body. I once asked him with heartache why they were there. And he only replied calmly. Old wounds. In the words of the comments. He will open his heart to Lu Chunyang. The female lead is a warm sun. Healing his barren heart. Of course. Now that he is about to die. Let's heal his body first. Shen Tai risked his life and tried his best to delay time. Keeping Xiao Chongyan alive. After one night. He shouted excitedly. Saying that he had prepared an antidote. But he couldn't guarantee the effect. Then can someone test the medicine? Xiao Chongyan's loyal servants were eager to protect their master. And everyone was willing to step forward. They said that their lives were cheap. And if they died, they died. It was worth dying for His Highness. People are divided into different classes. And everyone thinks so. But it shouldn't be like this. I clenched my fists and made a decision. I'll do it. Just take it as repaying His kindness of giving me medicine in this life. People stopped me from drinking the poison. But I said I trust Physician Shen. I might not die. If we both survive this time. I will also ask Xiao Chongyan for a favor to go our separate ways from now on. As the poison reached my lips, I suddenly saw the barrage in front of me erupting. Ah, my precious one is here. Ying, a red-clad heroine, galloped in on horseback, her movements as swift as lightning, leaving only a trail of afterimages. I've been waiting so long for this day. I'm really going to cry. As expected, the heroine is the most reliable. Everyone was busy stopping people, surrounding the house so tightly that no water could escape. And they didn't know what was happening inside. The barrage reported in real time that Lu Chunying had detoxified Xiao Chongyan. The male and female leads had met ahead of schedule. And in the future, there was no need to watch me, the female supporting character, prance around. Thank you to them. But Lu Chunying was still fighting with the guards. They fought from inside the house to the courtyard. And Lu Chunying spared time to say to me while fighting, Sister Xiao Lu, Brother Wei is rushing back. He told you not to worry. I nodded hastily. And then told Qiushui that Miss Lu was the person His Highness the Crown Prince was looking for. And not to hurt her. Qiushui was dubious. The female supporting character finally said something sensible. Just go offline quickly. I want to watch the love story of the male and female leads. During the heated fight, Xiao Chongyan, who had been in a coma for a long time, walked to the door supported by others. His lips were pale as he opened and closed them. Let her go. The male and female leads were finally reunited. And I also breathed a sigh of relief, seeing my upcoming freedom. Your Highness, I thought I should strike while the iron is hot and mention the matter of him letting me go sooner. But Xiao Chongyan swayed, ignoring me, and said weakly to Lu Chunying, Miss Lu, come in with me. Lu Chunying followed behind him, and the two spoke for a long time in the room, while I waited outside the door. The barrage was full of ridicule towards me. I wanted to say to them, stop scolding me. A love triangle is indeed too crowded. Haven't I been working hard to break it up? When Lu Chunying came out, she looked unhappy. Did the dog male lead provoke my baby again? Has he forgotten who saved him? The male lead didn't even say anything, did he? Just let Ying accompany him back to the capital. That's what you call love at first sight. Let us type those 2 words on the public screen, a perfect match. Seeing me, Lu Chunying barely managed to squeeze out a smile. Sister Xiao Lu. Let's go to the capital together. Me. How did she get turned around? Next. I dragged her to a secluded place and told her the whole story, explaining why I offered the jade pendant. But now I deeply regret it. Now that he has found you, there is nothing more for me to do here. I hoped she could say a few good words for me and let me leave. Lu Chunying's eyes were helpless, as if she had a lot to say, and finally sighed. Forget it. You'll understand when Brother Wei comes. I don't understand. I know that Xiao Chongyan has most likely been reborn like me, but he should know my intentions. Let bygones be bygones. Why is he forcing things? Now that the female lead has been found, he still won't let me go. I really want to rush in and talk to him clearly, but Qiushui is blocking the door, saying he won't see anyone but Lu Chunying. A sense of powerlessness spread through my heart. I wanted to kill someone. Fortunately, Wei Xian finally arrived. I looked at him, full of grievances. But he simply told me about my mother's current situation and went in to see Xiao Chongyan. Immediately afterward, the room was filled with the sound of birdsong. What's going on? Is there something our esteemed members can't hear? But this scene is so funny. I was also really curious as to why the 2 of them were communicating in secret language. Were they afraid of eavesdroppers? But the people left now should be Xiao Chongyan's confidants. What is there not to trust? Then, perhaps they are not guarding against people, but those barrages watching us coldly from somewhere, as if watching a play. They don't understand Wei Xian's secret language. That's right. If they communicate in writing, there's no guarantee they won't see it. Only a private secret language with its own rules can ensure they won't know its meaning. Xiao Chongyan doesn't seem to be familiar with the secret language. He is just learning, making cooing sounds. And Wei Xian is like a dutiful goose mother, carefully teaching her child survival skills. The 2 of them have been cooing at each other since they met, until they set off back to Beijing again. Lu Chunying and I shared a carriage. She suddenly mentioned to me, after Aunt Shen came to Tsunping Mountain, she saw the husband she thought was deceased. I was shocked. You mean my dad? Lu Chunying nodded, then shook her head. Not sure. He is the 2nd leader of our Tsunping Mountain. Chunshui's sword Guan Hensheng. We call him village owner Guan. His manor adopts many homeless orphans, and he himself is very righteous. But he has no memories of the past. I held Chunying's hand. I want to go find her. Don't worry. Chunying's eyes were firm. Aunt Shen will be fine. The divine doctor on the mountain is trying to help village owner Guan recover his memories. Maybe then they can recognize each other, and your family of 3 can be reunited. I was already 10 years old the year my father disappeared, and I can remember his appearance. He and my mother were very loving. If he really comes back, it will be a great joy for our family. I was immersed in joy, completely unaware that Chunying got out of the carriage, and Xiao Chongyan, dressed in black, sat opposite me. When I saw him, I was startled, and he was also stunned for a moment. Then, he made a sound somewhat reluctantly. Coo, coo, coo. It seemed like an apology. I was confused, looking at his unhappy face while speaking the secret language. This scene had never even appeared in my dreams. It's no secret to me that Wei Xian will compile all the secret languages into a book. Sometimes I even help with the compilation so that I can communicate with him smoothly. I just didn't expect to hear it from Xiao Chongyan today. He had studied the secret language for a few days and the effect was remarkable. As he called my name, he said, "Ying, it was my fault in the previous life. I wanted to protect you and your mother, but I neglected your mother's condition, causing her death." I looked at him blankly. He continued, "Your father rebelled with Prince Xian and was captured by the court, which implicated his wife and daughter. There was nothing I could do but imprison you first to conceal your identity. At that time, I knew nothing and only thought that he was taking his anger out on me because of Lu Chunying. But my shock wasn't over. Xiao Chongyan solemnly used the secret language to send a message. Do you know someone is watching us? I hesitated for a moment and nodded. He said, I was right. Some evil force is playing us like puppets. I have also asked the Imperial Advisor. But they are helpless. You, me, and Lu Chunyi Ing seem to be having our fates manipulated. In the previous life, I had no feelings for her. And it's the same in this life. And am worried that we can't get rid of the power of the evil forces and can't resist the heavenly book. So we have to go with the flow and plan for the long term. Thank you, Brother Wei-san. He compiled many idioms in the secret language, which are very convenient to use. Xiao Chongyan called those bullet comments the heavenly book, so he could see them too. I understood what he meant. Even if he wasn't the crown prince, given his nature, he wouldn't want to be controlled by others. He wouldn't do what the bullet comments told him to do. And he couldn't accept the arranged female lead. What's more, from beginning to end, I only like Lu Yingyang. He muttered for a long time, and finally blurted out a sentence. And then, as in his previous life, the tips of his ears turned slightly red. The development of things exceeded my understanding, but it was so logical. In the previous life, when I heard the news of my mother's death, I committed suicide in prison and followed her. I wouldn't have known what Xiao Chongyan's reaction was, but I always thought, even if he pretended to like me, how could he pretend for so long, spoiling me so much that I became ignorant of the world, only to fall into the dirt overnight. At this time, Xiao Chongyan continued, I don't ask you to believe me immediately, but can you give me another chance? This time, I will properly arrange for your parents, including solving those heavenly books. The people from beyond look down on us and manipulate our lives. I don't want to be watched all the time. So I asked, if I leave alone, maybe I won't see the heavenly book after a long time. Why do I have to stay by your side? Xiao Chongyan first showed a hurt expression, and then suddenly seemed to think of something, and his eyes lit up. You were willing to test the medicine with your own body to save me. How could you not like me? I made a cooing sound. You misunderstood. I was repaying your kindness. You gave the medicine to my mother, so she couldn't be cured. We continued to communicate in secret language amidst the shocked bullet comments until Lu Chunyi-ing's voice sounded outside. Have you finished cooing? There's an ambush ahead. Xiao Chongyan's departure from the palace this time attracted too many assassins. Fortunately, this group of people had low martial arts skills and was quickly subdued. He looked at me, not caring what the situation was outside, unable to openly say words of retention, and made the sound of a fledgling bird. I told him that I knew he was in the midst of a bloody storm, and that I also knew the palace was lonely. Meeting him in this life, we should just go with the flow. No need to be together forever. He accused me of breaking my promise and leaving him alone. I didn't know how to answer. Secret words couldn't express what I was thinking. I was silent and made a gesture to see him off. Wait. Can someone tell me what they're talking about? Goo 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 goo. Is it fun? I know. Maybe it's a side effect of the male lead's poisoning. Please say something human. Whatever. Is the plot going to start next? Although it's a bit different from the trailer, it shouldn't matter much. Right. In the imagination of the barrage, Lu Chunyi and I will be taken back to the East Palace, and I will gradually become greedy for wealth, and still do stupid things to frame Chunyi, constantly framing her, trying to replace her. When Lu Chunyi got on the carriage, I asked her in secret words if she could see the barrage too. Chunyi covered her ears. It's so annoying. You three are making my head spin with your goo-gooing. This awful life. Xiao Chongyan's cough came from outside. Only then did Chunyi put down her hand. Her eyes filled with despair, and asked, You mean? Then glanced upwards. She didn't learn secret words, but she understood what I was asking, so she nodded. Only then did I confirm that the three of us could see the barrage. And they didn't know about it yet. How to get rid of them and no longer be watched by them became our common goal. I also temporarily gave up the idea of leaving. Once again, I returned to the East Palace where I had lived for 3 years. Xiao Chongyan acted as usual, speaking coldly to me, sometimes making sarcastic remarks. But he treated Chunyi as a benefactor and arranged the best accommodation for her. As for you, You swapped the jade pendant and have unclean hands. Be my personal maid. Xiao Chongyan said to me with a cold face. I just wanted to roll my eyes and didn't answer for a long time. Xiao Chongyan. Goo 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 goo. Please promise me. I was afraid that others would think he was crazy. So I quickly agreed. He really seems to like acting. After returning to the East Palace, while investigating the assassination and collecting evidence, he deterred several of his imperial brothers who wanted to harm him, and at the same time secretly planned. After all, he had the advantage of rebirth, and there were many things that could be avoided in advance. Chenying didn't like it here and dragged me out of the palace. The barrage said that she was about to rectify the bad atmosphere in the capital. And she did indeed do so. If she encountered officials and nobles oppressing the people, she would start acting chivalrously, making many enemies and also making many friends. I envied her temperament and thought of Xiao Chongyan's plan, saying that we should stay put first so that the barrage would not notice our abnormality. So we had to put on a show for them from time to time. I would show hateful and jealous eyes where Chenying couldn't see. The barrage had no doubts. They said I should be like this. I also occasionally framed Chenying, and Xiao Chongyan would lock me in a room to punish me. Finally finding an opportunity, he wouldn't do anything, just stare at me, which was enough to torment me. The comments say his relationship with Chenying seems to be making no progress. Someone objects. You don't get it, do you? Love is restraint. Dodging is the problem. Prince is even afraid to look at our female lead. Xiao Chongyan's gaze towards me held mockery. And sometimes it was direct. I asked him in code every day, when will all this end? His gaze instantly dimmed, and he turned away, ignoring me. Time flew by. Chenying also had the idea of leaving the capital, but she didn't say it. She insisted on not learning the secret code, saying our goo-goo sounded like hens, which was too awful. Third brother Wei was locked up in the East Palace, ostensibly as Xiao Chongyan's advisor, but in reality, he was still perfecting the Wei family's secret code for Xiao Chongyan to learn. Sometimes when he saw me, his face was ashen, and he said in code, "Why don't you guys just say what you want?" He didn't understand. He thought not speaking like a normal person might be the crown prince's preference. Xiao Chongyan wasn't that free. He secretly searched for talented people and eccentrics, seeking their help. He finally waited for a suitable opportunity. That night, the celestial dog ate the moon. On the star observation platform, monks and Taoists were all present. Chenying and I sat facing each other. Xiao Chongyan stood aside, looking up at the sky. This wasn't the first attempt. Previously, a master said that the three of us had each lost a soul and a spirit, and we needed to summon them back into our bodies to break the situation. Some people had also cast exorcism spells on us, but unfortunately, they were all useless. This time, we didn't have high hopes. Just as the moon was being covered, I could still see the text flashing before my eyes. What's going on? Praying for blessings, as only a ring of the moon remained. The floating text in front of my eyes disappeared instantly. I was afraid it was just because it was too dark to see anything, until the ceremony ended and the celestial phenomenon gradually returned to normal. The comments in front of me were gone, leaving only Chenying's clear gaze. She blinked, waved her hand in front of her eyes, didn't dare to speak first, but just gave us a confirming look. No one knows if those comments have really disappeared, or if we are still being observed. But at least on the surface, the feeling of being spied on had mostly disappeared. Life goes on. One day, Chenying couldn't help but shout to the sky, "I've had enough of this damn life." Xiao Chongyan happened to walk in from outside the courtyard. Ignoring her, Chenying caught up with him and asked, "Xiao Chongyan, can I leave? I promise I'll never appear in front of you again. Please let me return to the mountains." I said, "That idiom doesn't seem quite right." The comments never appeared again, and our mood was much better, except for Xiao Chongyan, who always looked worried. He didn't let Chenying leave, and the latter turned and left. Stormed off. Xiao Chongyan stood in front of me. He was handsome, and no matter when you saw him, it was hard to ignore his face. He seemed to know my weakness well, enveloping me with that fragile, sorrowful look, and asked, Are you leaving too? I believe he has his reasons. And I believe that in our past lives, we were manipulated by fate. But I have learned to cherish life. Xiao Chongyan told me that in the previous life, after I died, he and Lu Chunin sensed something was wrong, but it was like being controlled by an invisible hand. Many things were beyond their control and happened naturally. They seemed to be tied together, always inseparable. Lu Chunin was utterly tired of such a life, and died of depression, while he ascended the throne and lived a lonely life. I nodded. I believe it. He no longer confined me with the identity of the crown princess. He sighed and said that my parents' carriage had entered the city and would be staying in the house from our previous life. It was up to me whether to stay or leave. In this life, my mother found my father earlier, and he would no longer follow Prince Xian in rebellion. When I returned home, they were waiting for me at the door. My father was the same as I remembered. I wondered if he had deliberately put on the hunting clothes he wore when he left home. At this moment, his eyes were filled with tears as he called me by my childhood name. Ying. Dad caught 2 rabbits for you. It's Dad's fault for not coming home in time and almost losing you and your mother. I stood there crying. In my previous life, I died in prison, but in this life, I achieved fulfillment. After entering the courtyard gate, my parents pulled me along, asking all sorts of questions. My mother asked, "Was that carriage at the street corner just now one you knew?" They looked at us for a long time. Besides him, there was no one else. When I left the Eastern Palace, Xiao Chongyan didn't see me off. My steps became lighter and lighter. I looked back and saw him standing in the middle of the open palace gate, with a storm brewing behind him. Only then did the dark clouds move over our heads. My mother didn't wait for me to reply. She got up and pulled us back into the house. For ordinary people, it was a common scene, but it was something I had gained after going through life and death, something I wouldn't even dare to dream of. Birds were singing outside, in front of my father. My mother also put on a smile. These birds in the capital sound different. Yungu. What kind of bird is this? My father was familiar with birds, but now he was stumped. He frowned and thought, "Oh dear, it seems like a magpie. Let me listen again." I knew. Xiao Chongyan was asking if he could come find me again, now that my family is reunited. Relying on the connections I made with Chunin, we can settle down in the capital and find a stable livelihood. As for that magpie outside the courtyard, when he sees that we haven't left the capital, he will know my answer. I want Ku just yet.